Is this thing on? Hello? Oh, so that's how you record. Hello YouTube, it's Media Gamer, and today I'm going to be drawing the Toad Brigade, which is from Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. These guys were always my favorite characters besides Luigi, mostly because they're just 5 Toads with their own personalities. I mean, that's awesome. So not only am I going to draw each member of the Toad Brigade with their own items and stuff, I'm going to also include the Starshroom, which is their spaceship they use to travel through outer space, and I'm also going to include an outer space background. So, without further ado, let the drawing begin. Nope. I'm gonna move over here now. We got the paper here. We got my stuff to draw with. And it looks like we're good. We're gonna start out first by sketching in where we want to place these characters. There's gonna be about 5 of them. I'm gonna put them starting about here. Start with just a general shape like this. So the tallest guy here, which is closest to the front, is going to be our Toad Brigade captain, and the rest of the guys are going to follow in behind. Just like this. Once again, these sketches aren't anything too definite, I'm just making sure I know exactly where I want to place the characters ahead of time. Alright, so let's get ready for the first part of this drawing. To really kick things off, I'm going to start out with the eyes of the Toad Brigade captain, which is in the front here. And we're just going to start out with 2 very big ovals. We're sort of going to make sure they're spaced out enough. Make them a little bit smaller in relation to everything else. We're going to draw in his mouth here. Just smiling. We're going to work on that a little bit more here in a second. We're going to clean things up around here a little bit. And I'm going to work on the head a little bit more. It's not as circular as I made it before. The bottom is, but on the sides they just go straight up at a certain point. Just about above his eyes. I really want to make sure I'm getting these eyes good. Make sure one side is bigger than the other, the side where he's looking to. And we're going to draw a line going across here. Simply like that. Symbolize where his hat comes in. And from there, we're going to draw his big, huge mushroom hat. We're going to make sure that sort of follows the same principle as the line we just added in, at the lower side is to the right. And now we're going to draw in the 3 circles on his head. Now, I know you're thinking, well, you can't see all 3 circles because he has a huge lamp on the front of his head. Well, I know that, but you can still sort of see just barely the edges of that one. So we're going to put that in place first. And now we're going to draw his big, huge headlamp. That makes him sort of seem like an explorer. He's really a coward, in case you haven't noticed. Draw some lines coming down here. And let's draw a strap taking it all the way around his hat. That strap goes right across the circles on his hat. And to finish up the eyes here, we're just going to give him a little bit of life by adding a glare, and then filling out everything else around that black. Better yet, let's shift the glare so that it's facing the other side where the light is. We want to be consistent with these kinds of things. And now we're going to work on his body. First thing you have to notice about Toad's body is that it is a rather teardrop shape. Nothing too very detailed. We're going to draw in his jacket, coming around the sides here. Here we're going to draw his arm. We're going to put it back just like he's got his hand on his hip. Like he's in charge, he's so cool. We're all scared, but not really. Now we're going to draw these lines on his coat here. Make them sort of rounded, just to go with everything else. Erase the corner. And we're also going to define where his pants start, right there. he's got a little bit of skin showing here right below his neck, or his head. There's no neck to Toad, really. That's okay, he doesn't really need one. And his other hand, we're going to draw pointing out towards their goal, the star that they're going after, which they seem to never be able to actually get. So, let's start with his first finger here. So we're going to slant the others off like this at first, just as one rectangle. Makes it easier to work on. And we got that going. Now we're going to draw each individual finger from there. They're very, very small. And on his mouth there, we're just going to add these two lines here, make his mouth a little bit more curved. And so to finish up Toad, what we're going to do is we're going to draw in his feet, which are just going to be very, very simple. Starting off here. You're just going to come out right from below him. And on this one, we're sort of going to make it look like it's in front a little bit. Nothing too difficult. However, I think I made his body a little bit too long. Yeah, so we're going to shorten him up a bit. There, like we said before. Oh yeah, that's much better. More realistic. Well, I guess Toad's not a realistic character in the first place, so that's a little weird. We got his feet drawn in now. And the last thing we're going to add to Mr. Toad Brigade Captain Guy here is his backpack. We're just going to draw the straps coming over his shoulders here. Going back around. And there's a little bit of two parts to the backpack, but since we really don't want to overcrowd the other characters, we're going to keep it like that. So now we pretty much have the Toad Brigade Captain all figured out and drawn. From there, the rest of the characters are going to be pretty much exactly like him. They have different accessories and such, but I'm going to start off with the character right next to him here. I've sort of got to adjust my sketch just a little bit because I made the characters too small. Pretty much we do the exact same thing we did for the first Toad by drawing out the face for the most part. Then from there, drawing in the tear-shaped body. And lastly, adding on the feet. This here is going to be our male Toad. This little messenger bag here. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. We're gonna have his arm coming around here, gripping the mailbag at the strap, and also just one hand coming down, resting on it. Now we're gonna start in on the farthest Toad to this side, and we're gonna have this Toad be the blue Toad, which is the smart Toad, I suppose. He has glasses, and he's pretty darn smart. And over here we have the mining Toad. He's always got a pickaxe in his hand, and he's pretty crazy about mining. You see him mining everything, even when there's nothing to mine. It's pretty crazy. We're gonna have his pickaxe come into the ground here, just as if it's at rest. We're sort of gonna fan it out as it comes around and just bring it to this point. And now we're going to draw in probably the most lazy Toad of all time, the yellow Toad. He is practically always sleeping. I don't know if there's ever been a time when he's awake, maybe rarely. But yeah, he's pretty lazy as opposed to the rest of the Toads. Yet at the same time, there's been a couple of times where he's had dreams that actually come true. I'm thinking he might be part psychic. So, he's still pretty cool. We're gonna draw him in just as a simple Toad. You're not gonna see a whole lot of him in this drawing. And we're gonna have sleepy Z's coming from the yellow toad. Sort of just going up. Here we're placing the Toad Brigade ship, which is called the Starshroom, right behind them. It's basically like a toad's head, except it's not really all that round. You got some rounded parts to it, but there's a couple dull angles on it. There's a separation between the top plate and the plate here on the side. And instead of spots, it has windows here for them to look out into outer space. And on top it also has another window. We're going to add some dots going along the separations to sort of represent the fastenings that's holding the ship together. And below that, you've kind of got a line that goes around the bottom here. Fill that in black. And I guess that's how the ship might float, possibly. So we can add a little bit of lines below that. And now to clean up our drawing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fine point Sharpie, ultra fine point Sharpie actually, and I'm going to outline all the lines I want to keep on my drawing. We're just sort of going to use a bigger Sharpie to fill in the gaps, except for the glare in their eye, which you can just leave as a small circle. Now that I've got all my lines outlined here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a large eraser and I'm going to erase all the pencil underline my drawing. This is where you're going to really start seeing things clean up. So the first step in coloring my characters here is I'm going to start out with a base coat color. It's just going to be a very light color for the character's colors on the character. Wow, that was really redundant, but anyway, I'm going to start off with the red on Toad here. We're just going to fill in the circles on his head. And then here we have the purplish pink Toad. I'm going to do the same thing for him. Just go ahead and do all the base coat colors first. Then on the Toad Brigade captain's hat here, where his band goes across to hold his light in place, I skipped out on a little bit of detail here, but we can just add it in right now. The band is actually yellow with a brown stripe going down the center. Something like this. I'm not trying to get it perfect, but I just had to include that. Inside of his light, just a very light yellow at first. For the Starshroom, we're not going to do a whole bunch of details, but we do have to color the bottom part here, peach's color. We're sort of going to make it a little bit more metallic with a gray, just sort of dull it down a bit more. And now we're going to get started on the actual shading of the drawing. As I said before, I want my lighting source to be about up here, just in this top left corner here. I'm sort of going to have it being a large glow coming from that area. So that means all our shadows are going to be to this direction of the characters. And we're just going to start off by using a darker color, whatever color it may be. Say for red, we're just going to use darker red on the red spots. And we're just going to shade away from the light. Just making the shade darker. This is going to give our drawing a lot more depth, and it's just going to really make it pop. For Yellow Toad, we're going to add a little bit more orange to the yellow in the darkest spots. Just make it a little bit darker. Just sort of going to blend that into the rest here. For the white on Toad's body, as far as shading goes, we're just going to take another gray and just blend it in. Nothing too harsh. Make it darker by the back and just really fade it in. For the most part, the planet the toads are staying on, I want the planet to be relatively dark, so that way it doesn't draw too much attention away from the toads. More than anything, I want it to accentuate them. First, I'm going to start off with a very light blue. And now we're going to start layering on some different colors. With a dark blue. We're going to add in a shadow below the toad's feet, going away from our lighting source. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a very fantastic galaxy-ish type background. First, I'm going to start out with the place where I want my star to be. You're not really going to see the star in this picture. It's mostly just going to be how you sort of see it in Super Mario Galaxy itself, just as a blinding golden light in the distance. It's your goal. And here is my finished drawing of the Toad Brigade in outer space. This drawing actually took me several days to finish because I could not get a consecutive amount of time to actually work on it, but I'm so glad that I did get it finished because this has turned out to be one of my favorite drawings thus far. So, thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, you should subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming drawings that I'm planning on making. And also, this in itself was a request, but if you'd like to send me a request, go to my channel, go to my moderators module, type in a request for your favorite video game character, and I just might pick it someday. So, thank you guys for watching this video once more, and until next time, keep on drawing. Out of here.